So you want to sue the social worker. Can you sue the social worker? Generally, yes. That's not the right question. Are you going to win? There are many hurdles to winning a civil rights case against a social worker. Now, one of the biggest things is that social workers in California have something called qualified immunity. In other words, if they make a mistake during the case, they can't be sued unless you can prove fraud or malice. Now, I generally tell people that you can sue a social worker for 3 different things. Number 1, for taking your child away and violating your or the parent or your wife's or your spouse's Fourth Amendment rights to search, unreasonable search and seizure. The second way you can generally sue a social worker is for intentional acts committed during the case. For example, social worker writes in a report things that aren't true. Have I ever seen that happen? Many times. You have to prove that the social worker did with some type of malice in her heart or his heart when writing that report. The third way that you can generally sue a social worker in the county of Los Angeles is if your child is hurt while in foster care. You may not realize this, but many, many children are injured in foster care at the hands of the foster parent or someone in the foster parent's household. And that injury can go from death to physical abuse to sexual abuse to emotional abuse. Probably a year ago, I was sitting in the chambers with other attorneys on a case in Monterey Park in Los Angeles County. And this child had been taken away from the mother. And I was trying to get the child back to the mother because I thought what had happened either wasn't true or was exaggerated by the social worker. Be that as it may, the child was placed in a group home, which is a type of foster home, where she was being beaten up and bullied by the other group home residents, children of her own age. And unfortunately, this child, who happened to be Caucasian, who happened to be white, was placed in an all-black group home. And the child was heavy for her age and overweight, and she just took a lot of punishment, both physically and emotionally. And as we sat in the judge's chambers, I didn't have to mention this because this was reported to the judge. And the judge looked at me and said, I guess I have to visit these places where I'm sending these children, just to make sure that it's not worse than taking the child out of the home of the mother. In that particular case, the abuse was so bad that the child was suffering in the group home, and they didn't have any other place to put her. The child eventually came home back to the mother. And I don't think that happened because they believed that the mother would or would not abuse the child. Or maybe they did. But it was more, in my opinion, more geared towards the fact that the child was being abused in this group home. In a lot of cases, children may be mistreated or abused in a group home, in a foster home. And a lot of people don't want to hear about that, especially in the juvenile court, because it's just assumed, in my opinion, that if we place a child in some unknown foster home or group home, the child's going to be taken care of just fine. And that's not the truth. Many years ago, I represent a foster parent who had caused the death of a foster child. Yes, the death of a foster child. So things happen in foster homes that people don't want to hear about. My next video is going to be on what is a civil rights case. And if you have any questions regarding that, give me a call at 888-888-6582. That's 888-888-6582.